I'm Dr. Jovan Hill, Director of the Mississippi Entomological Museum and an Assistant Professor in the Department of Biochemistry, Molecular Biology, Entomology, and Plant Pathology here at Mississippi State University. We may go out and look for new species. A lot of us here are taxonomists or systematists, so we look for, we basically are describing new species or trying to figure out how species are related to one another and how they came about. In the last, say, 7 years, I've described 30 new species of grasshoppers from the southeastern United States alone, which, most people would think that, hey, Eastern North America, we know everything that occurs here. But there's still a lot we don't know about things right here in our backyard, and that's one of the missions of the Entomological Museum is to document that biodiversity, especially in imperiled habitats. I study grasshoppers, and I've worked in the museum here for 22 years now, but it wasn't historically a focus of the collection. But I've been building it in my time here, and right now we probably have about 30,000 grasshopper specimens. We have an employee here, a member of our staff, John McDonald, who grew up in Panama, but he still goes back to Panama at least twice a year to collect butterflies. And here's an example of what he has. So this is his private collection that we house here. Here's some blue morphos. Have you ever picked up a butterfly or a moth and gotten the powdery substance on your finger? Well, those are scales. These wings are covered in scales. These scales here are actually clear, but they are refracting the light. And so the light comes in at an angle, and those little grooves trap all the light except the blue. It lets the blue escape. It's structural coloration, is what we call that. So here's a blue morpho butterfly that's pinned upside down. So this is the top of the butterfly, that's the bottom. Dr. Richard Brown was our director for 40 years. He just retired a couple of years ago. So we have one of the best moth collections around.
Well, I grew up in the Ozarks in Arkansas, and as a kid I started collecting moths and other insects, and my high school prophecy in the high school yearbook was that Richard Brown would be a curator. And indeed, after going through school, I had this opportunity to come to Mississippi and be the museum director in 1980. And so I've been here since, and although retired, I still come in just about every day. And what we have here is a wonderful museum, not just for the community, but for the whole world, because the specimens that we have here come from over 63 countries and every state in the U.S. And while I have found new species in my backyard just south of town, you can go into the country yourself and find new things that have not been seen before. Well, we have a special collection of moths because that's the thing that I've concentrated on. And I've always been asked, what's your favorite moth? And my most favorite one is the one I've never seen before. And yet I go out during every summer and fall and I find things I've never seen before. This I started calling the end of the world moth because in the year 2000, there was a large number of them that emerged. And when this moth is resting, then it has a pattern of an upside down cross.
So our movie poster collection was donated to us probably about 15 years ago by a guy named Matt Bouchard. He was just an insect enthusiast in general. Actually, he donated at the same time a large collection of showy insects to us as well, and some movie props. But the main way we use them is through community outreach or youth outreach. They have big, scary insects on them. So one thing that we've done here several times is have an insect-themed movie night where we'll usually work with the student association and advertise it and show an insect-themed movie. We'll have some of our movie posters on display. Students will come watch the movie, but then we'll have an outreach booth there where we talk to them about, invasive species, how things get transported around, insect biodiversity. And we may actually, alongside our movie posters, we may have some live tarantulas, some scorpions, other things like that that typically show up in those insect movie posters.